mess. I'm just saying you struggling, but like it's easy to just do that, and they make their little bit of money because they're not making no money off of pirating. So like this is a great move for them financially. It's a great move for them to up their brand awareness. It's a good move for them to bring in fans that are like, hey, listen, I don't got no way of watching your show. Maybe I don't have cable. I don't got $50 to throw to Bleacher Report. Like, just make it easier. And this is exactly what this move is going to do.
Yeah, this is a smart move. I think it's been a move for a while. Hopefully, we'll get AEW Dynamite replays on there. Maybe some Rampage, maybe some Collision. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll just be an all-in-one AEW spot, which is what they needed all along. Plus, it's on a major network or a major, streaming network. So what more could we ask for? This is a good move in a time where AEW is looking kind of so they need all these wins that they can get. Just hopefully they can continue to capitalize on this. They can have good shows. They can bring good numbers to HBO Max so that they stay for an elongated time, and maybe they can start pulling some more stars back over because I think they're in need of some people, bro.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. I really feel like that once again we're in that spot where me personally, like my interest in AEW is kind of on the downswing right now. And it's just because I just don't feel like anything like is going on that's pulling me in. And you guys know I'm always going to be honest with you guys. This is not me trashing AEW. This is not me downing AEW. It's just when it's Wednesday, and I'm thinking of it as a mainstream consumer, because as much as I know about the wrestling business, as involved as I am in the wrestling business, when it comes to those big shows in my real life outside of wrestling, like I have to consider like it is giving 2 hours to this product what I want to do when I could be sleeping or doing something constructive. And it's real. It doesn't matter how much it's, I mean, if you're a loyalist to the brand, whatever brand that ass you kiss, whatever it is, this is not me trashing your brand. It's just, for me personally, a busy regular person, is it worth me coming in and checking out your product? And that's always going to be how somebody smart is going to see it. If you're a loyalist, that's wonderful. That's cute. I'm happy for you. Enjoy what you enjoy. Enjoy whatever show that takes you away from your reality. That's great. But as a realist, as a critic of professional wrestling, I'm telling you that you have to have that appeal that's going to pull me in, that's going to make me want to give you those 2 hours, 3 hours if it's Monday Night Raw, and you have to have that. And right now, I feel like that AEW, for me personally, does not have that. And I feel like that with this move to HBO Max and everything, that because even Full Gear, like I'm not gonna get Full Gear. I'm not paying for Full Gear. That's right before the holidays. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And 2024 will be so much easier for me to consume that content. But also, you got to give me good content to consume. I feel like AEW is in a transition right now with everything that's happening. They just lost somebody big like Jade Cargill. They lost a guy that they put a lot of stock into with CM Punk, and now they're about to move into 12 PLEs a year, 12 PLEs a year, and a deal with HBO Max. You got to get some things in order. You got to get some things in order because you got some huge, wonderful things coming up. And if your house isn't in order, you're going to fumble it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Con.
So yeah, we got that big thing going on with HBO Max. Big thing going on with AEW. Like I said, this is great for them. Just because I said what I said does not mean that I don't want them to succeed. I do.
You're
I
hating,
hope them.
Con. You're
I
over
wish
there
them.
hating. You're over there
I
hating,
know,
Con.
man. I know they're about to be clipping me and hating on me on X or Twitter, whatever the fuck these kids are calling it nowadays. It's one of them.
Yeah.
But I feel how I feel. I feel how I feel, and I stand on what I said. And if you're an AEW loyalist and I made you mad, like, sorry, not sorry, bro. Like I love y'all, I do, but like I'm always gonna call it like I see it, and I want AEW to succeed. And at the end of the day, they don't care about what I say. They're gonna do what they do. I mean, they're making more than enough money to be doing just fine without my thought and opinion and critique. But hey, I'm putting it out here for y'all, not for them. So
Right.
it is what it is, and we steady rock and move on here, man. And
So
of course,
the voice in the chat says that AEW can hire him or and to give them star power, and I'm going to veto that and say no. You're stuck in the household. This is your job. You got to stay here, bro.
we need you, man. Um we got voice in the chat, consistently in the chat. We appreciate it. Um and yeah, for me, man, it's going once again, it's going to be what it's going to be. Um as far as AEW and whatnot, but there's a lot of things going on in indie wrestling. And we talk about programming, we talk about streaming deals and whatnot. We'd be remiss not to talk about what's going on for an old stop for me, which was OVW, as they just had a Netflix release of the series of the docu series Wrestlers, and that has caused a lot of discussion within the professional wrestling community, a lot of ripple effects, for better or for worse. For better or for worse, and it's interesting. It's caught enough steam to where obviously we have to talk about it. I haven't had a chance, opportunity to watch the project, but I know you have. What are your early thoughts on Wrestlers?
Yo, so look, if you haven't seen Wrestlers yet on Netflix, what are you doing? Then you're listening to this show, but you haven't watched Wrestlers. What are you doing? I'm not talking to you directly, Con. Although, what are you doing?
I
Um,
know, I
I
know.
I know. So if you have not seen the exploits of Hollywood Haley J, Cash Flow, Jared Kripke, um, all of these indie wrestlers that are under the tutelage of Al Snow. If
Right.
you have not seen this documentary, look, you were missing out. You need to watch this. This this is a wrestler show. This is a wrestling fan show, but this is also a wrestler show. It gives you a peek into the business. It kind of exposes a little bit about the business, for better or worse. Um, but there is so much polarizing things are happening from this documentary alone. Um, and it's had the internet wrestling community just talking everything from James Storm's booking being outed, um to Al Snow being not a fan of the death matches, right? um Along with a plethora of other things like the exploits of Hollywood Haley J, um and and her travels in OVW, as well as WoW Women of Wrestling,
Yeah.
and her relationship, as it documented a lot of her relationship, but it also followed vets like Cashflow, who have been in the net industry for 18 plus years, almost 20 plus years, I believe,
Right.
who have ran up and down this wrestling scene, put miles on their vehicles, on their bodies. Um,
Yep.
and just for this thing that we love called wrestling, man, like if you're out there, if I haven't sold you on watching wrestlers, I don't know what else to tell you, but man, you are going to enjoy this. I know my fiance watched it with me. She was excited to tell me about it when she heard about it, but she watched it and she loved it as well. It good for everybody, and it brings up so many different things, so many different topics in
Yeah.
in the world of wrestling that I think we need to continue this conversation about wrestlers a little bit later.
Yeah. It's definitely something that we need to revisit. Even though I haven't had a chance to check out the series, I do plan to. I do plan to.
You're a
I just
busy
want to
guy,
make that
Con. You're a
clear.
busy
Sure,
guy.
sure. But I can speak to the experience of being at OVW. Seeing as I've I've worked there as a manager. and been in that locker room. I don't want to like really give too much away as far as like the locker room dynamic, just because like, you know, you got to respect the locker room. But what you I imagine what you see on wrestlers, from what I'm being told, it's a lot of what actually is happening there, behind the scenes in OVW. I mean, these are people who really laid their lives out there and were raw for this series, because some things about OVW are polarizing. You know what I'm saying? But you
Absolutely.
know, I do know that Al Snow um does what he does, and he runs a tighter ship than maybe what people even think. And I got a chance to go there and see how you produce a um nationally televised wrestling product. You know, maybe not on the level of WWE, not even on the level of AEW, but Al Snow really is back there with a headset on with his team, really calling like, hey, we have commercial, we have to cut the commercial. He's really doing that. That's real. That's not just a work for this docu-series. He's really putting a lot into this product, into these stars, the wrestlers. I knew about this documentary months before it came out, just because I'm that close to OVW and I'm connected to people that are that you've seen on that show. Once again, I got a chance to work that show. It was a great honor. It was a great privilege to do it. And maybe one day down the line, they'd be open to having me back. That's, you know, that we don't know about that. I can't speak on that right now, but I will say that everything, it sounds to me, without even having watching it, I need not speak too much on the series itself without watching it, but once again, I've felt the environment. I've been there in the environment. It's a crazy family. It's a crazy family, man, and they're all very much dedicated to what they're doing at OVW. A lot of um you don't see a lot of indie promotions, especially locally in this scene, that go behind the product as much as these talents go behind OVW. I mean, if you could even look on their social medias, and every single wrestler, backstage producer, whatever, referee, whatever, they're posting about this. It's a completely unified front to raise awareness on this docu-series. And no matter how you feel about it, like, of course, we know what Al said about deathmatch wrestling, and GCW promoter Brett Lauderdale had a take on it, and it was not a positive take. But no, for good, bad, or worse, OVW is a brand that sticks close together, stands behind each other, and that's why they've been able to have this success, whether it be for the good, the bad, the ugly. They're polarizing. And I'm just going to leave it at this, and we can move on to the next thing. I feel like, Hype, that everything they wanted to accomplish from this docu-series, they've already accomplished it.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. I have one thing to add because I heard a quote last night.
Sure.
And Maven of all people, if you guys remember Maven who
Of
was
course.
getting he's getting a little podcast fame nowadays. Um
Doing great
he
work. Yeah.
he was on Busted Open with Billy Ray, and he said that wrestlers is a work. And
It's a work.
I I mean, wrestling is a work, and part of this show is a work, but I don't think the show is a work.
It's their lives turned up, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I can confidently say, like, Maven's not off base here. Like, Maven's not, like, this is who you are seeing in this docu series is who they are, but it's turned up. everything that they wanted to accomplish with this docuseries has been accomplished in my eyes without even watching it. I will. Once again, I will.
Right.
But seeing the ripple effect that this docuseries has had on the wrestling world tells me far and beyond that they have accomplished what they were hoping to accomplish.
Absolutely. I think have accomplished a lot in that. And look, I wish them all success. I hope more is to come. I hope we see more wrestlers, because I know we have huge wrestling family that has been affected by this show, been impacted by this show, gaining popularity by this show, and it's all a good thing in my eyes,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
For sure, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point, is to raise awareness on these wrestlers that have been grinding and working, working their ass off. And how the question should be, as a promoter, which is why I will personally praise Al Snow. I know a lot of people out there on the social media world have a polarizing thought on Al Snow and the way he presents OVW, or some of his thoughts on how indie wrestling or how deathmatch wrestling is conducted. But I, for one, applaud him because he did what most promoters should be trying to do: figure out how to get the most eyes on his product and the most eyes on his talent. So
Yes.
for me, like, I can't hate Al. I can't, because he accomplished a goal
No,
as a
he
promoter.
he absolutely did. He and the team of Matt Jones and everybody else that's involved in OVW and the cast of characters that you will meet in the series, they definitely did accomplish their goals.
And once again, like, if you really get a chance to have a conversation and sit there, like, I got a chance to have one conversation with Al Snow, and it was him giving critique and how we can better work TV and stuff like that. And it was great. So, like, yeah, he might have his thoughts on the business, but at the end of the day, he's looking out for what's best for the business. And no issues here, nothing but love. Wrestlers, check it out. It's on Netflix. And you can check out all of these wrestlers that you're not seeing, you're not hearing about. Follow OVW. Give them that work. Give them that work, give them that love. Check out some great talents that you might not have known about. Check out all the wrestling, man. Just give it awesome love. And that's what we're here to do. That's why we're here. That is exactly why myself here, Hype is here, our entire team is here, to talk wrestling, have conversations about wrestling. And this has been a great episode here, personally, of In Your House, doing moving in the right direction. It's been a great episode. Um a pretty polarizing episode, honestly, with a lot of different things that we had to talk about, a lot of different takes to have, as far as the direction of AEW. Then we talked a little bit of wrestlers. Another thing that's happened in this last week that stays polarizing within the community of professional wrestling, we just had the PWI 500 drop. So that's the top 500 wrestlers from Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Vantage Point. And it dropped, man. And one thing about the PWI, every year that it drops, bro, it's always a point of contention. It's always polarizing. It's always something that people talk about, wrestlers talk about, whether they've been on it or whether they're left off it and they're upset and all that. But it's always an interesting time in the wrestling world when the PWI 500 drops, bro.
Yo, it is always an interesting time because you know why? Because somebody always has something to say about it, right? And
Sure.
this year is not any different than any other year. Somebody has something to say about it. Now, this year we got kind of an odd grouping in that top three, right? It kind of familiar faces. Maybe
Yeah,
not
yeah.
in the order that some people would have wanted them. Maybe not in the order that you would have chosen. But we have a Shield reunion at the top of the PWI 500, right?
Yep, we sure do. We've got Rollins at number one. I believe Roman was number two, and then I believe number three was Moxley. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had Rollins, as you said, Roman, and then Moxley as rounding out the third. And I, I don't know. How do you feel about that, Con?
Well, for me personally, I find that to be interesting. I think that there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're doing the PWI 500. I can't imagine, honestly, I can't imagine that putting that list together is easy. Just because when you put out that list, when you and I can say this confidently just because of the number of wrestlers I've dealt with, the number of wrestlers that I've been associated with over the years, is that wrestlers have egos, and the PWI has the potential to either boost your ego or hurt your ego. And whether wrestlers want to admit that, it does hold that power. There's people that say the PWI 500 is a work. Well, it might be, but it doesn't stop the fact that some wrestlers feel some type of way about it, whether they're on it, whether they're off it. I think it's something interesting. This grouping here is interesting. I feel like that Seth Rollins, as far as wrestling goes, he's been the overall better one out of the three. I think that as far as growing their brand and becoming somebody that is looked at as larger than life, Roman Reigns has definitely cemented his spot and is doing well in that spot. And then you have a grinder like Moxley who's taken a company on his back, and many times when they've needed him to. He's always been that guy that AEW can fall back on when shit falls through. And I think I think that speaks about John Moxley, and I think that has to be considered, that he's not a pillar of AEW. He's a foundational piece of AEW, and I don't think that's something that should be ignored. So I feel like for me personally, the top three placing feels about right in my mind. What do you think, as far as the top three, at least?
Yeah, definitely for the top three, I like it. Seth has been my number one for probably about 3 years now. I feel like PWI is a little late on this boat. Um, and Roman has been killing it for a long time. I know that this list is built off of work rate, kayfabe. There's still a lot of kayfabe in this, and maybe a little bit of politicking. But nonetheless, I'm not mad at this. And to round out the top 10, we had guys like Gunther, who was number 4, El Io del Vikingo, number 5, MJF, number 6, Okada, number 7, Orange Cassidy, number 8, Josh Alexander, number 9, and Cody Rhodes at number 10. And that's a pretty solid list, right? Now, I mean, you could maybe moan and groan about some people on there. But again, you got to factor in the matches that these people had, quality of match, work rate, their winning percentage, all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's always got to be something that there's a lot that goes into it, as far as being in the PWI 500. We have some names in there that have made their way on there, which for me personally, I think it's great to see Rachel Armstrong on the PWI 500.
Yeah, shout out Rachel.
Yeah, I think she came in at 469. Rachel is a great talent and has a whole lot of upside. Rachel is somebody who I've got a chance to be there at the beginning of her career and watch her grow into what she's become. And now she's really coming to her own. And now she's cracked the top 500 wrestlers for PWI. So, that's great.
Well deserved.
We see names like Kid Bandit is another one that I've got a chance to see the growth of from afar. Beef is somebody who I've worked with directly. Beef is cracked the 500, so great for Beef. Somebody else that I've worked with, Alice Crowley,
yep,
has reached it, and she's at the 432 spot. A lot of, like, as far as our local area, I never want to be like, hey, we're big time, like we're here, like we are listened to on the podcast, like internationally and around the world. But I always want to show love to our locals that are doing well for themselves, and that's a lot of our locals that I kind of named off. Not really Kid Bandit, but Kid Bandit is from like the West Coast area, and I've worked with Kid Bandit over in Las Vegas. Cash Flow came in at 341.
Yeah.
Which is great.
OVW's own.
OVW zone. Really, once again, doing really great work. Somebody who I've worked with many a times. Jeffrey John comes in at 453. The Babushka Baron, good for him. Great
Hmm.
stuff as far as seeing him and his growth and everything like that. And so many more. So I mean, so many more as far as who've come in. But once again, like you have to Hoodfoot. Hoodfoot is another one. Hoodfoot came in high at 155. So good for Hoodfoot. I love Hoodfoot. But once again, you can't. This is all like it's still opinion based. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's still based on the opinion of the people at PWI who break this down and break it down in the way that they do, in the style that they do. So like, um, if you get in there, great, but like it's not something that like I feel like you should have like it's like some of them use it as a chip on the shoulder, and I get that. I totally understand that. And that's what drives you, then go on with your bad self. But I wouldn't put so much stock into it because it can I mean, it could definitely get you more exposure, but like there's there's still like footwork you're gonna have to do yourself. So like don't take this as something that you think is gonna just change everything for you. There's still a grind to do. Pat yourself on the back and keep on going. And that's kind of how I see it with the PWI 500.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Shouldn't take the most offense if you're not on this list. First of all, it's a list of 500 people. I am couldn't even name you 500 people right now. Um,
Right.
don't even know if I would want to name you 500 people. And at a certain point, I would just start making up names. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So yeah, you couldn't ask me to do this, but so that's why I wouldn't take too much. Um, don't don't take it too hard if you're not in it.
Right, right. Just keep pushing, man. And once again, if you get in it, great. Take that. Like definitely take that. If you get in it, great. But if you don't, man, remember like this is an opinion based poll or piece, whatever you want to call it. It's all opinion based. And and let me just say this. If it is something that you're aspiring to do, if this is on your bucket list, is something to do, make sure that you register with PWI to be a registered wrestler to be considered for the PWI. I think that a lot of people don't know that. If this is something that you aspire to do, if this is absolutely on your bucket list, make sure that you're registering so that way people can follow your body of work and have something to go off of. So just keep that in mind too. Like I said, keep going, keep wrestling, keep pushing. But like this isn't the end all be all. Like nobody's gonna come knock on your door and give you flowers and $1 million and a BJ because you was on the PWI 500. So like just keep going, keep going, keep grinding. And there's been wrestlers that have made it to the top without being on the PWI 500. So let's keep that in mind too.
I'm not gonna lie, you might be able to trick somebody into a BJ, but make sure it's consensual.
It's got to be consent. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
No,
Consent
there's gotta be
matters.
consent. It really does, because then you're gonna get all jammed up. You're gonna be in a bad situation, and then boom, you're behind bars. You're wondering what happened to you. That's a whole different story and a whole different podcast.
Absolutely.
But man, this episode here, it's been a really great episode. Really enjoyed giving it to y'all, giving y'all that work. We talked about so many different things. We talked about Jade, Cargill. We talked about Rock and Cena in WWE, AEW moving to HBO Max, and wrestlers in the PWI 500. It's been a great episode, y'all. Of course, as we slide on out of here, I got to throw it over to my man, my co-host here, give him the opportunity to plug anything that he wants to plug. And I also know that he has a little bit to talk about because we just had the 200th episode, part one of Pope's Point of View drop. I'm going to let my man Hype talk about himself a little bit and talk about that. Go ahead and plug, bro.
Yo, what up, household? My name's Hypocrisy Jones. If you don't know that by now, man, where have you been? But thank you for coming. Yo, I do want to talk a little bit about the Pope's point of view, bro. We just dropped the 200th episode, and your boys right here, we ain't the New Day, we the household. We did our little producing thing in there. Con man, he got the audio part, and I'm handling that video part right there, right? So go
Yes,
check out, go listen to uh the Pope's point of view 200th episode. This is a part 1 because bro, it's so good. He had to put in 2 parts, bro. Alicia Fox,
absolutely.
aka Vix Crow, was an absolutely amazing guest. And
Very
man,
transparent.
yo, some of the tea that she spilled, I'm surprised like Uncle Dave ain't answering questions right now. I'm surprised that like some Bella twins ain't clapping back. Like,
Man,
bruh.
I guess we got I guess Sean Ross Sapp hasn't picked it up yet, huh?
No, man, SRS is gonna have to pick this up, man, and he gonna have to whisper in some Bella's ears. Hey, we gotta talk about this. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So lots of things, lots of things. Don't let me spoil it though. Go listen to it yourself, yo. It's Pope's point of view, Pope TV on YouTube, POPE all one word. Go check it out. As for me, yo, I'm Hypocrisy Jones. First of all, you can find me right here at In Your House, right? And then you can follow me anywhere else at Hypocrisy Jones. I made it real easy for you. It's all across the board, whether it's X, Facebook, Instagram, whatever's new. We may pop up on Kick. I don't know.
Who
But
knows?
you never know. You never know. Check us out on Twitch. Check out my cat behind me. Yo, it's been fun. Thank you, household. I'm out.
My man, my man. That was Hypocrisy Jones. Of course, the video producer here at In Your House and at Pope's Point of View for Household Productions and the co-host of this great show. I am Hollywood House. Of course, I give you that work here on the podcast, me and my entire team. But if you want to follow anything I'm doing, that's at the Hollywood House on IG. That is Hollywood House on X and on Facebook. And of course, you can follow this podcast here in its entirety at In Your House. Of course, once again, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitch, we are here on the podcast. The podcast edition will be available shortly after the Twitch stream and the YouTube stream. And guys, that's HOWSE, and the W stands for work. So guys, we really appreciate y'all coming through, and always remember, stay hopping on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone, because the household, we are still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.
Peace. Yo, for those of you that stuck around on the video, I super duper apologize for all the technical difficulties that we had. This household is growing, and sometimes growing means that we mess up some stuff, but we will come back stronger, better, faster, whatever you need next week. So check us out next week for this household live party.
Peace.
All right, I wanted to add